This is a small video tutorial on creating groups within a Brightspace course. I will illustrate this by adding groups for workshops in Automated Flight. And to find the groups, or to define the groups, I go to Administration and Groups. Now, I don't have any groups here. The groups can be divided over different categories. In first year courses, you will see that there are A groups and B groups, and the study groups have been divided into the categories A and B. Now for my course, I have regular students and research students, and I would like to make two categories. One, I'll call it regular students, and I can already assign the number of groups and the type of groups, which I will do now. So if you already know how many groups you want, you can define this here. You can also define it later. But first of all, let's look at the schedule. For this course, there are typically 4 workshops. And the first workshop has classes 2 engineering 1 through 6. 1 has 7 through 12, 13 through 18, and 19 through 26. And for each of these groups, I want to make a separate workshop, separate group, so I can assign discussion groups specifically for those sets of students. So we can go back, regular students, and I would like 4 groups. Now, the enrollment type, there are a couple of options. I can define the number of groups, and I can not allow automatic enrollment. You will have to assign the students manually to each group. I can say how large the groups can be, groups of, let's say, 5 students. I can define simply the number of groups. I can say I'd like groups of, let's say, 10 students, and they have self-enrollment options. I have a number of, I can specify the number of groups, and also that they can self-enroll. Then the number of students per group is not set. I can set a number of groups with a maximum capacity and with self-enrollment. And you can also have a single student as a group for, let's say, graduation interaction or presentation or report interaction. I will choose the last one. Now, I want 4 groups, and there are 6 groups of students in every workshop. Now, for example, this workshop has groups 1 through 6, and in each of those groups I have 6 students. So the capacity of my group should be 36. I could add a group prefix, which I will not use now, but to identify a certain group, I could, for example, say regular, and that will be prefixed to any group names. Now, there are some new properties here. I can set the enrollment date. This is a new feature. We did not have that before, and we could not specify a time period within which students were allowed to enroll. But now I can. If I want to set the enrollment a couple days before a certain event, or I want to make sure students cannot enroll after a certain date, I can set these options. I will leave them for now. So now I have my new category of regular students and 4 regular groups. I would like another category of all the year students or research students. That doesn't really matter. I still want a certain number of, I want a couple of groups with a maximum capacity. So for my research students, I know there are about 60 to 80. So I'll make 3 groups, and again, I'll have a maximum capacity of 36, and I'll know that I will have more than enough availability for all my students. I can here set, because I've already made groups, I can restrict enrollment. I'll leave that for now. I'll leave the advanced properties and I will just hit save. So I have my older year students and my regular students. With all the groups, I can see how many members there are. I will later assign discussions, but how to assign a discussion to a specific group is part of a previous video which you can find on Brightspace. Now all these videos will be posted on the Aviation Brightspace page. And you can find them under content, the staff Brightspace guide, etc., and hardware information, which will contain all kinds of tips and tricks, but also solutions to any issues you may have. We can click on the discussion forum, and here you see all kinds of items, and I will put it somewhere here. So this is concludes the tutorial of creating groups in Brightspace.